The Cavs' biggest need for the offseason is by far a true 3-and-D wing. Everybody knows it. The team has players already on the roster who possess one of those coveted skills, but not necessarily both. Lamar Stevens is an underrated defender out on the wing and perimeter, but lacks the shooting consistency needed to classify him as such. Isaac Okoro was selected 5th overall to address Cleveland's need for perimeter defense, and the hope is that he can still develop into a 3-and-D guy. He has shown improvement, but lacks the volume to truly know whether or not that improvement is for real or is sustainable. Dean Wade is capable of hitting the 3-ball and defending wings, but may never be anything more than a 9-10 man in a rotation, not someone who you can count on to play 15 to 20 minutes nightly. And the jury is still out on Dylan Windler, who appears to be suffering through confidence issues if this season was any indicator. Rarely does a 3-and-D wing hit the trade market or unrestricted free agency because they are so valuable and tough to find. So that leaves teams with but one choice most of the time, and that's via the draft. And fortunately for the Cavs, the 2022 draft is flush with the potential 3-and-D wings. And one that could be potentially available around pick 14 is Dyson Daniels out of the G League Ignite. Now, I've heard of Daniels being classified as possibly a 1, 2, or a 3, but the truth probably lies somewhere in between all of those, honestly. The beauty of a player with this type of size and skill set is that he can suit up in a multitude of places. Theoretically, he fits right in line with the positionless basketball line of thought. Being listed at 6'6" in some places and 6'7" or 6'8" in others means Daniels is capable of many different things. Let's take a look at what he does best. First off, let's talk some defense. Daniels is an excellent on-ball defender who can lock down 1 through 3, sometimes 4, and if he continues to grow, maybe some 5. And I can't tell you how badly the Cavs need someone of this size who can do that. Most of the NBA's best players are wings. From LeBron to Luka, you need to be able to defend them in order to win at the highest level. His length allows him to get many deflections, especially when trying to prevent backdoor cuts. This dude shows some rare instincts for a guard. I mean, you just aren't likely to find many players his size willing to protect the rim and get vertical against opposing players. And as Cleveland fans, we are very familiar with chase down blocks, and let me tell you guys, Daniels is capable of rejecting shots from behind as a trailer. In today's 3-heavy league, having the ability to close out without fouling or falling for a pump fake, especially out on the perimeter, is important, and that's a skill Dyson already has. He doesn't appear to shy away from one-on-one matchups either, as he has shown a willingness to take on very tough defensive assignments. Daniels can take away open driving lanes to the hoop and forces ball handlers into tough pull-ups, which would be a nice addition to a Cavs team that often relied heavily upon funneling the opposition into the frontcourt pairing of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, who should be the last line of defense. And just watch how well he moves his feet in the positioning that he takes, especially when being targeted in the pick and roll. He won't often get stuck on a screen. He'll generally fight over them and recover pretty easily. And even if he does get beat, he can use his length to contest shots from behind. It's this type of ability that has many thinking that he has possibly elite level recovery skills. Now let's talk about his playmaking. Now while the 4.4 assists per game that he averaged during his G League showcase don't scream elite facilitator, the way he gets those assists does. He displays great vision, especially in transition, and throws pinpoint accurate passes in areas only his targets can get them in. He's got a little Kevin Love, kind of Wes Unseld to him, as he knows just how to throw outlet passes as well. Though I wouldn't consider him an elite in this category, the Ignite product is capable of operating the pick and roll as the primary ball handler, which was Cleveland's bread and butter this season, which is a positive. He has drive and kick potential at the next level, and much like Darius Garland, he is patient enough to let plays develop by probing the defense. It wasn't uncharacteristic of him to hit the corners with a pass for an open 3 or moving cutter when the defense collapsed on him in the paint. You don't have to worry about him running out of real estate either while probing the defense, as he can make the right play even while he's driving the baseline. Honestly, this is where some of his best passes come from. Ditto for his ability to throw lobs. If you are going to play beside Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, the ability to anticipate an opening is highly important. And if JB Bickerstaff wants to get more movement out of his offense, having a player who can distribute at this level would greatly help that. He is the ultimate team player in this regard, as he will almost always opt for the extra pass when necessary. Alrighty, let's discuss his offensive capabilities. Daniels' best quality as a scorer would probably be his finishing. He will not wow you with too many highlight-worthy dunks, but he does have some bounce. It's common to see him finish off of 2 feet as opposed to 1, which I suppose allows him to gather more effectively and put up a much more controlled shot. He certainly doesn't appear to be affected all that much by contact either. I can see him fighting it at the next level for some easy fouls. He only drew about 1.4 per contest this season, which is low, but I do expect that number to increase once he makes the leap if he continues to press the issue. Daniels is a fairly good finisher with his left hand and is capable of a right-handed scoop shot. One of the things that makes him so effective as a finisher is the pace that he plays at. It's a little unorthodox to say the least, which makes it difficult to simulate in practice or to defend in an in-game setting, with his go-to move being a floater out of a spin. And that floater might end up being the best part of his game when it's all said and done. If you are running him as the lead guard, you can probably get him a few mismatches versus more traditionally sized point guards out there in the post by allowing him to use his size. And I gotta admit that it would be pretty awesome to see Daniels allow DG to slide over to the 2 to operate off ball while Dyson goes to work. Okay, now that we have all the good stuff out of the way, let's talk about some of the negatives. Daniels is nowhere near as effective as a catch and shoot option. Hell, he completed less than 26% of his 3-pointers he attempted this season with decent volume too. I honestly don't know how much of that will carry over to the NBA though. He does have solid form, but the problem in my opinion is his consistency and his release, which is very slow. It's a blockable shot at this point, and it starts kind of low. He isn't getting enough air under these shots and misses a ton of open looks. This does not help his case to play off ball, indicating that he may need the ball in his hands early in his career. I'm not sure how much the Cavs would actually want to have another young prospect on their roster who doesn't shoot the 3 ball all that well. Could his lackluster percentage stem from appearing flat-footed? Maybe. We'll have to work on it. You just can't generate the power needed by shooting like that. Daniels doesn't really have a pull-up jumper in his arsenal either. He has got to stop chucking it up and square up. If he could add that to his game, it would be yet another weapon he could use when operating the pick and roll. And last but not least, his lack of top-end athleticism might become more apparent at the NBA level. I really want to see what he could look like defending some of the NBA's most athletic wings and guards. Overall, I get Kyle Anderson vibes offensively and Matisse Thybulle vibes from him defensively. Now I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. Dyson Daniels is unique in the fact that he can operate an offense functioning as a point guard, but has the requisite size to defend 1 through 4, and he might not even be done growing yet. The 19-year-old can probably be best categorized as a point forward. In terms of fit with the Cavs, I think he would be worth it at 14 because of his propensity to run the offense and his defensive versatility. And when you really think about the complete package of what he brings to the table, he could theoretically solve the problems of being a backup point guard and a wing defender at the same time. You can mask his shooting deficiencies from range by featuring him in lineups with Colin Sexton and Kevin Love. Now, I don't know if Daniels will be available at 14, but he would certainly be worth exploring if he's available.